Today I'm celebrating Keith Haring, who in many ways was one of the major instigators of the graffiti movement. He was by no means the first person to start painting on walls. That's obviously been going on for millennia. But he came to prominence in New York when he took to the underground, to the metro over there, painting anywhere he could, but actually with chalk was his primary material, and he would create these anonymous pictures all over the subway, all around New York. And by doing them in chalk, I didn't know this about his use of chalk until quite recently. And it's funny because, the impact of using spray paints is so clearly evident. For those people who decide they're going to remove somebody's artwork, it's just a really, really difficult, labour-intensive, chemical-dependent job if you're using spray paints. But he was just using chalk. His work had no greater permanence than you could literally wash it away with sponge and water. And that really impressed me because it wasn't an act of vandalism. It really was an act of aesthetic beauty, him adding his style to what would otherwise be a very blank and bland canvas. Keith Haring's work clearly was this emanation of his subconscious mind, of his dreams, because it was stream of consciousness drawing. It just flowed from one area to the other. The figures in his paintings just seemed to naturally tumble out of him, highlighting themes of his life and his thoughts and his dreams. And it had this immediate style that people identified and connected with. And he was a man who during the 70s and 80s began to, he was exploring himself at the same time that he was exploring his art and exploring the suburbs of New York. And all of those things are so apparent, the way they fed into each other, that he just became an extremely enigmatic and very celebrated artist. So I want to celebrate today the work of Keith Haring for having had this passion in himself to want to make a mark and be willing to do it just with a piece of chalk. We do find today these incredible 3D artists that work with just chalk on pavements, but it's still not seen so often. We seem to have developed this desire for permanence in our work. Maybe it's a reflection of how impermanent our lives appear to be these days, how temporal, how fleeting, and there's some desire to etch ourselves into the universe in some permanent way, and therefore we use these very toxic and heavy chemicals. So, I'd love to see Keith Haring's appreciation for chalk see a revival. And what a wonderful thing it would be to see a constantly changing canvas around our cities of people just making their mark in something that is literally going to be washed away by the rain. So yeah, a moment to celebrate Keith Haring.